aside from music, like, Kano has a new album out, and, we all know what they're capable of in that space. But I think that, to be, their talent is multi-layered. And so I think this really gives the world a clear picture of how talented these people are and just how talented people out here are in general.
Since Kendrick Lamar took the stage at the Super Bowl and provided us an experience that no other rapper had ever been able to do before, it has become abundantly evident that of the 126 million people who watched the game and Kendrick's performance, which incidentally set a record, one person ought to have switched off the television. Ever since the halftime show, it has been evident that although the entire event was a huge victory for Kendrick and hip-hop, because it allowed him to showcase the excellence of not only his own music, but also rap in general on such a significant platform, it was also evident that Drake suffered a greater defeat than the Chiefs due to Kendrick's performance, which is currently being discussed more than the game itself. Evidently, Kendrick's actions during this performance served as a constant reminder to Drake that he is the greatest failure in hip-hop history. And he continues to do so with every step he takes going forward. Drake is not happy about this, as evidenced by his recent outburst in which he attacked Kendrick in a way that has never been witnessed before. Now, before we continue, please remember to subscribe and leave a like. In all honesty, it's hilarious to see that Drake is still obsessed with what Kendrick Lamar is doing and the history being made in front of our very eyes, even though he fled to the other side of the world to avoid Kendrick and the Super Bowl while on his bizarre Anita Max Win tour. Drake is attempting to appear unconcerned and show that he is the same person he was before this feud by dressing strangely and wearing even stranger shirts like the one on display here. Drake chose to add to the list of embarrassing moments he has been accruing on this tour alongside his L's. Apparently in response to the moment Kendrick had at the Super Bowl and everything it stood for, which of course was one of the many layers in the story Kendrick told that focused on giving Drake the biggest L of all time. Drake's most recent concerts have become even more embarrassing as he tried to show the world that his career is still going strong by leaving with holes in his shirt and smoke on his back. It's absurd that DJs are now required to sing to Drake to ensure that the audience still loves him. The tone of this performance is already pitiful, but worse, Drake, who was in the middle of his desperate and lazy Anita Max Win set, did something Kendrick Lamar does frequently and much better than he ever will. He changed up the lyrics and improvised them on the spot to fit the song in the precise moment you were playing it. Additionally, when Drake was playing the CLB record that everyone only remembers because 21 Savage and Project Pat featured him on it, and it was originally supposed to be on Savage Mode 2, Drake begged Metro Boomin to get this song, which originally featured 21 and Project Pat, and now that you know who he really is and the individual that he has proven himself to be, especially recently, it's just so humiliating how intimidating he is trying to be. He apparently changed the lyrics to try and convey that Drake's career is still going strong and that he hasn't been kicked out of the industry despite what the Super Bowl and everything we've seen seem to be telling us. He also implied that the beef among him and Kendrick, and everybody else for that matter, seems to still be going strong. And with this again, I understand that Drake is attempting to project an image of having a career and being in the same place he was not too long ago. After all, that is the whole point of this bizarre tour. But we all know that despite whatever illusion he may be trying to sell us, Drake doesn't even believe what he is saying. Additionally, as he performs his bizarre karaoke routines and tries to convince the audience that he didn't fall off and that his career hasn't changed forever by doing things like this lyric change, we all witnessed Kendrick Lamar give a performance that was a masterwork of storytelling through all the various things he was able to do and pull off in his halftime show. Beyond the larger story, Kendrick's decision to wear the chain, which of course is a symbol from Kendrick Lamar's PG Long imprint, and remind the world of the classic "a minor" line, is just one example of how he is mocking Drake. In addition, since Drake's real name is Aubrey, wearing his initials is a symbolic way for him to acknowledge that he has moved on from his feud with Drake. And it's also a way for him to taunt him in the same way that he attempted to do with Kendrick, using the jewelry and chains from previous hip-hop legends. Finally, Kendrick's performance of Not Like Us has solidified Drake's pathetic nature, and we will always remember this moment because Kendrick, of course, put it right within the story of this experience. In addition, she demonstrated how to work with SZA effectively by utilizing her skills, and reminded Drake once more that SZA is a member of Team Kendrick and that they are both accomplishing far more than he is at the moment. Naturally, Serena Williams' appearance at this performance got to Drake the most out of all of this, cause in addition to the surprise, if you've listened to any of Drake's recent albums, you can see that he's still obviously obsessed with her and has been the worst kind of ex anyone could have, based on the way he talks about her and still tries to be involved in her life. It is evident that Serena's decision to support Kendrick on the biggest stage in the world upset him. She essentially told Drake that she would just sit and laugh with Kendrick about his career ending after all of the small-time antics he has been trying to get her involved in. Beyond this, of course, Not Like Us was played, and the audience adored it. This performance was seen by nearly 126 million people worldwide. We've all watched the videos of how this sounded live and how attentive the audience was. To put it simply, Drake is completely distraught about this, because even more so, Kendrick Lamar cemented the record's position in culture on a deeper level than we have ever seen when Not Like Us was released as a song and music video more many times than at the Grammys and the Pop Out. And as a result, Drake has never been more evident outside of the music, hip-hop, and industry circles for the loss he suffered in this rap feud and for the issues he continues to seem to be attempting to cause and spoil all the pleasure everyone has had with this song in the first place. And I mean, for Drake, the fact that you were called out the way you were at the Super Bowl and that the crowd loved it was really more than asking to be humiliated at this point and doing such pitiful things as filing a lawsuit. You are witnessing at the highest level probable that this diss track has become a full-on social phenomenon that is truly infinite to the amount that few other rap songs have ever been capable of, because really it is that legendary at this point when considering at all of its impact. This is just a terrible reality for Drake and all of the people that are enamored with him. Even though Drake is obviously furious about Kendrick taking yet another loss, he isn't quite totally embarrassed himself because he has at least promised us fresh songs with his upcoming album with Party Next Door. Yet even with a new Drake album at this point, which based on the teasers we've heard, sounds like it's gonna fail because it features the same old uninspired and dull Drake. And really, I suppose after all the beef, Drake now sounds even more disinterested in his work overall. Drake's performance in the Super Bowl, which has cemented his L like never before, and the attention it has received have put him in a position where he is more likely than ever to fail, because no one wants this album that is doing nothing new or interesting. Because of this, in some way, the loss Drake has suffered could get much worse very soon, because regardless of what he says, if his music is failing along with everything else that we can all see, then he has truly run out of options. This is because the moment began with over 100 million people making fun of Drake. Even though Kendrick is currently dominating the charts due to the Super Bowl, Drake has an even greater chance of failing because he has no moment or hype whatsoever. This is because, in addition to the fact that no one ever asked for this album, the Super Bowl is reminding everyone in hip-hop and beyond why the Drake era is over and why we might want to avoid him as well. It really makes you wonder what Drake hopes to achieve with this new album. Because if this entire period of his life is trying to convince people that he is not done, and we all just witnessed what happened at the Super Bowl, and now we are seeing Kendrick Lamar take his entire presence and catalog to new heights, which once again is just giving the best rapper in the world a bigger and bigger lead overall, then things could get much worse for Drake very soon. Because between the meltdowns we are already witnessing and what's coming up next, Kendrick's lyrics about Drake being paranoid and spiraling never seem more true in a way. It's almost as if Drake has run out of time to make a meaningful comeback. With all of the pressure Lamar is putting on the hip-hop industry as a whole, it is now evident that even though Drake's Super Bowl reaction and sadness are beginning with these irrational quotes, which of course conceal just how furious he is, things are only going to get much worse in the days ahead. Drake is known for producing songs until his recordings are almost ready for release, So I think we'll see him explicitly complain about all the history Kendrick is creating on some level. When we finally witness this and learn more about how much the Super Bowl has affected him, we will only be able to comprehend the full ramifications and effects of losing rap's biggest feud on a whole new level, which will ultimately only serve to highlight how hip-hop is evolving in front of our very eyes. After all of this, tell me what you think about Drake's handling of being made fun of in all of the ways he has thus far at the Super Bowl. What impact do you think the huge L he took will have on the planning and release of his next album? What do you believe this moment's final result will be? Now I'm eager to hear your thoughts. If you've seen the entire movie, please remember to like and subscribe, as it much aids me. Watch the following video to witness how Kendrick Lamar truly killed Drake's career and delivered one of the best performances ever at the Super Bowl, despite Drake's nasty response.